Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Saints win their second in a row and 3 to play. They control their own destiny to win the NFC South and punch their ticket to the playoffs. Our buddy Scott Shanle, good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Scott, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Hey, absolutely. I'm doing good.
I'm going to go a little out of order here, but I just want to start with your thoughts on the Alontae Taylor penalty as a former defender. I know I'm teeing one up for you here, but what were your thoughts?
You know, the great thing is I don't feel like I'm being biased because even though I was a defensive player, I can see the fans' reaction. I see even offensive players' reaction around the league. And nobody wants our game to be watered down to the point they're trying to water it down. And I think more than that, it's the inconsistency in these calls that, you know, I posted a picture of Alontae with the same type of tackle last year against the Steelers, and there was no flag. And there's tons of tackles like Alontae had yesterday, and there's no flag. It just blows my mind how the league says, you know what, let's make fans even more mad at our game. Like let's see how much we can get a rise out of calling offensive offsides on the Denver Broncos when they have a chance to score a touchdown. Like some of these things that are going on in our league, you want to promote gambling and betting, I'm fine with that because someday the players are going to get a portion of that revenue. But if you're going to do that, the expectation for you to get calls right, it goes up even more. And for some reason, we just keep falling back when it comes to officiating games.
That was obviously the Saints were off the field. That led to points for the Giants. It didn't matter in the end, but it was still it was something that was difficult to watch. That being said, Scott, Saints defense was awesome, man. How much of it was game plan effort? How much of it was really the opponent the last 2 weeks?
I think, listen, I'm not going to say that the Saints defense from the last couple of years is back after going against the Panthers and the Giants. I think the Tommy DeVito story is a cool little story. The guy's not very good. I'll just say that. He's just okay.
Right.
But he won 3 games. So the train got rolling. Then you throw the agent and all that in, and it's a great little story. I don't think the Giants are very good, but I was surprised that the Giants didn't play a little bit better. That is their problem, but I'm going to give the Saints a lot of credit because for the last month of the season, we've all been wondering what the heck has happened to this Saints run defense. And Saquon Barkley came into town. They absolutely shut him down, and that's a huge credit to those guys. They knew that they had to contain Saquon Barkley. Tommy DeVito wasn't going to beat them, so they shut down Barkley, and it was an outstanding job. And that's the type of defense that the Saints defense has to play. For this team to win the division, they have to play run defense like they've done the last few years. They have to play great third down defense like they did yesterday. And I said the key to the season and getting this division is taking the football away and giving an average offense more opportunities.
So the average offense moved the ball pretty well. They put up 300 yards and 24 points. So I'll ask the same question. How much of it was the opponent? How much of it was game plan execution skill?
I do give a little bit more credit to the Saints offense against the Giants defense. The Giants defense is I have a lot of respect for Wink Martindale, who is their defense coordinator. He was with the Baltimore Ravens. He gets very exotic, runs a lot of different looks. And I think giving up 1 sack against that type of pressure defense is a huge credit to the offensive line being prepared, Derek being prepared to knowing where to set the protections, because it's a tough defense to go against. And then it really just came down to guys making plays, getting separation in the pass game, guys, Jawan Johnson making some plays, Jimmy Graham doesn't have to just be a red zone target. He ran just a little 5-yard out in the middle of the field. But those types of things, the timing of the offense looked as good as it has really at any point yesterday. But some of it is probably the Giants aren't the greatest. But I just like the fact that we have finally started to find out it doesn't have to be a 1 or 2 yard throw, and it doesn't have to be a 55-yard throw. There are throws that exist in the middle of the field, the 10 to 15-yard range that you could absolutely dice defenses. It seems like we're finding some of those routes again.
Scott Shanle is our guest. I want to go to this week with the Rams because it is a short week, but also want to talk big picture. You're in that locker room. You're 500. You're a 7-7 football team, but you got a shot to win the division. I mean, it's not your fault that the division's the worst one in football. So what would the vibe be like right now, the mood be like right now in the Saints locker room?
I think it has to be as good as it's been all year because I said last week against the Panthers, everybody expected you to beat the Panthers. They weren't very good. But I wanted to see how the Saints team would go from beating the Panthers to now playing the Giants. And can you stack success? Can you stack wins? Can you go from one win and take what you did well to the next week? And I saw improvement in a lot of different areas with the Saints team. Now can you do that on a short week? I think it's a great thing, actually, that they get to play a short week. There's not a whole lot of time in between this game and the Rams game. It's going to be a tough game. Anytime you travel west, and the Rams, you never know what you're going to get. They're Jekyll and Hyde, but they're talented and well coached. I think that the Saints locker room is probably feeling as good as they felt at any point this year, besides early in the year when everybody has hopes and aspirations. You're going on the road. You got 2 wins under your belt. You're doing a lot of good things. Everyone's feeling pretty good. And so now you get a chance to play a game right away, even though you're a little bruised and battered.
He's on Twitter at Scott Shanle, former Saint linebacker, Super Bowl champion. So let's talk about that then, Scott, the short week. I've always maintained this isn't like a unique thought or anything like that, but spots matter, right? So, I mean, the Giants had to play Monday Night Football, then had to travel on a short week. Now the Saints have to do the same thing on an even shorter week, turning around, heading 2 time zones over. How difficult is what the Saints are tasked with doing, short week and having to travel to the West Coast?
It's tough. It really is. And there will be some players in that locker room that share my sentiment that, yeah, we're feeling good about ourselves. Let's just go play a game. We don't need a full week of practice. Let's just go and do this. Then there's another portion of the locker room that's saying, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm not ready to play a short week game, and especially traveling, like you said, to the West Coast. But the fact that it's a primetime game, you're playing the Rams, and like I said, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You have a chance to continue to make a statement, and guys love playing under the lights. So you're going to have an opportunity to kind of erase some doubts from some of the people who have been naysayers with you guys all year. So, I think it's a good opportunity, but there's also it's the reality of it is in the NFL, the human part of it. These guys are going to be sore, tired, tight Thursday night, and traveling doesn't help.
What about the matchup in specifically with the Rams? I don't know if you've dug deep into that at all, Scott, but is this something that looks like the Saints might be able to match up well?
Yeah, I think there's definitely areas of concern. I have a lot of respect for Sean McVay and his play calling ability. The way he is able to utilize motions and bunch concepts and rub routes and all those things that kind of have given the Saints defense trouble in the past. The Saints like to play a lot of man-to-man defense. So when you're getting pick routes and rub routes with Cooper Kupp and the other guys they have out there, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams are able to score some points against the Saints defense. And I know the Saints have been playing well, but I think the Rams pass game against the Saints secondary could lead to some points. And that's going to put the pressure on Derek Carr and the offense to say, hey, we are the other 1/3 of this team. We can make plays too. We can carry over some success. And then special teams continue to play the way you can play. Don't have any blocked punts or missed field goals and things like that. You can't afford those things on the road. So I do like the matchups, but their passing game and McVay's kind of genius with the passing game does scare me a little bit.
This is a question I know you wouldn't answer as a player, but as an analyst, I could ask it to you. What do you feel like Dennis Allen, the staff, is like they're coaching for their jobs with 3 games to go, considering all of the struggles and so much of the conversation and noise around them this year?
I definitely think that I'm sure Dennis feels this way, and his assistant coaches think that it's really win the division. You win the division, and really nobody's ever safe in the NFL, but you can kind of feel safe knowing if we win a division and we host a playoff game, it's hard to fire people. But now there will be changes. There will be changes with the assistant coaches, no doubt, because I think there's a lot of position groups that have not played up to their potential. And when you do that, you have to look at making some changes. The Saints have lost a lot of really good assistant coaches over the year. You look at Ryan Nielsen, was now in Atlanta. You look at Dan Campbell's now head coach. He's a tight ends coach. Aaron Glenn coached the secondary. You go down the list of really good coaches that are no longer in the building. So I do think there's some deficiencies with some position groups as far as exactness and urgency to get better every single week and to just be exact. I think that's really what it comes down. So there will be some changes, even if they do win the division.
Saints are at 7-7. They've got to 500 with 3 to play. Everything's in front of them. We'll see how they come down the stretch. He is a former Saint linebacker and Super Bowl champion, Scott Shanle. Good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us. Scott, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time and the insight.
Yep, absolutely. Take care.
All right, man. Be well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.